The Hearts of Gold podcast is brought to you by the Grow and Share Network, produced by Off the Walter Media Productions.
Welcome to Hearts of Gold. Today we have Rhegan with us. Hi, Rhegan.
Hi.
Can you tell us about your Girl Scout Gold Award project?
I began my Gold Award kind of during my sophomore year of high school, but it really started going somewhere my junior year. I was a gymnast for most of my life, and my dad's originally from the Bahamas. So when we'd go to visit our family, I would sometimes have to train. So there'd be two different gyms I would normally go to train. And I think the first time I went, it was very eye-opening because I was used to these big gyms with pits and new equipment. And that's definitely not what they had. The equipment was very old. I remember one of the gyms, the floor is literally older than me. I think the floor is like 25 years old. The girls were amazing though. They were so upbeat. They were so excited to be there and just learn. But something that also stuck out to me was some of the girls didn't have leotards. And in gymnastics, leotards are such a huge thing. They allow the coaches to really see your body so they can give you the best feedback during your events. And then also it's really hot in the Bahamas, and some of them were wearing like leggings and shirts, which definitely is not helpful in the heat. And for me, leotards were always something I could get. Like I'd feel like, oh, I see that leotard, can I get it? And I'd normally be able to get it. But for them, it wasn't that easy, especially shipping leotards to a third world country comes with a price. So a $40 leotard over here becomes $60 over there just because of shipping price. And some of the families either just didn't see a reason to spend $60 on a leotard, or they didn't have the money to buy a bunch of different leotards that are like $60.
What outcomes have you seen from your project?
Our main goal is to collect leotards, sports bras, spandex, and send them over there. So we have had two collections. The first year we collected about 150 leotards. Last year we collected over 550 leotards, which was absolutely amazing. When we do the donation, I go to the Atlantis Crown meet and I get to meet the gymnasts. I talk to them. This year I was actually able to go to one of their practices and help coach and really get to know the girls, which was so amazing. The girls are just so excited when they get the leotards. Like I was able to be there when they got the leotards, and they were just so excited. They thought it was the most amazing, cool thing ever that they got they could just get all these leotards just right there, because even in the Bahamas, there's nowhere you can really go and buy a leotard. So their selection is very small too. It's very hard to get a leotard, and then the selection is very small. So every time I go there, so excited that I'm there and have all these new leotards that they can choose from and pick from. Of course, with the sports bra and spandex, but they're mostly focused on the leotards, which it's just so cool to be there when they get everything and see how excited they are and how happy and grateful they are. I always say it's super interesting when I go over there, because for me, being here, I'm I'm just collecting some leotards and some sports bras, and I just send them over there and it's no big deal. But actually going there and talking to the girls, I realized the impact I'm making for them. And it's so amazing to for me, this is not that big of a deal. It's just some leotards, but for them, it means so much.
Yeah, leotards are a very fun part of gymnastics. I would liken it, for somebody who doesn't understand, it's kind of like the golf clubs for a golfer. It's a critical component. And then from a girly side, it's just so fun to have a new leotard and be able to use that. Girls practice multiple times a day, and you don't want to wear the same leotard every day. They have to go through the laundry and everything else. So I can't imagine how excited those girls are when they receive those leotards.
And this was the first year I actually got to be there when they got the leotards. Last year we gave it to So in the Bahamas, they have the administrations of sports and specifically one for gymnastics. So we gave it to someone in that committee. This year, because I went to one of their practices, I was actually able to be there when they're getting the leotards. And it was just so amazing. Like, they were so excited. They were just looking at every single leotard, looking at the size, and like, oh my gosh, like I get to take this one home. And I feel like people don't realize in gymnastics, like getting a new leotard and wearing it to practice is such a confidence boost. It's like, oh, I just got this new leotard and I'm walking into practice and everyone's going to see it. And even though it seems like such a small thing, I remember when I'd get a new leotard and go into practice, I'd be so confident that day. And I feel like some of those practices were my best practices because I just felt so confident and excited to have my new leotard and show it off and do all my skills so amazingly. I wasn't able to go to another practice when they were wearing the new leotards, but I hope it was the same feeling for them when they got to wear them in practices.
How did you get the word out about your collection efforts to clubs back here in the US?
At first, we emailed so many people. Like, we emailed hundreds and hundreds of gyms. Of course, we didn't get replies from some. And then some, they'll send things from time to time. My parents and I post on our social media. I probably should post more, but we try and get it out as much as possible. I also have a board for the nonprofit because we are an official nonprofit. So my board members will also try and get the word out. I live in Sarasota, Florida, and our magazine actually interviewed me. Article was written and published. So that got the word out there. And then also at the Atlantis Crown Meet, at the opening ceremony, I normally make a speech. And we also get some partners and new interest from there. We are always working to find new partners. So we're always sending out emails, trying to see new people are interested. We also try and reach out to some meets and see if I can partner with meets and once again, go there, make a speech and see like just being there if someone's interested. Recently, actually, we went to the Gasparilla meet. It's like in St. Pete. So it's like a 40-minute drive. And that was a great networking for us. Me and my dad went and we just talked to a bunch of people, kind of got the word out, and we may possibly be expanding some new countries later this year.
How exciting!
We may expand to Jamaica, St. Vincent and Grenadine, and it's just so exciting to possibly like go because we're collecting so many leotards at this point, and if I can help more gymnasts, I would just love to.
What is the international component of your project? What was that like and how did that work?
I'd say it's probably the hardest part, shipping the leotards, because that involves like not the government, but like almost you have to make sure you're shipping it correctly, make sure it's addressed to the right person. It makes it a lot more difficult than just like shipping something in the United States. And so with the Atlantis Crown Meet, Cindy and Branch Gymnastics host that, and they have been amazing to work with. And they ship all of their equipment for the meet out from Tampa. So in December, we took a huge crate of our leotards and we went up to Tampa and they shipped it with all of their equipment, which made that so much easier because they had all that. And then any other leos that we got after that, I took in a suitcase. We took an extra suitcase and we took it with us to the Bahamas. And then it was so amazing because we got so many more donations at the actual meet. So other people kind of did the same thing, but they just brought 2 or 3 leotards in their backpack. And then we got a lot more donations that way. I know one of the new gyms we are hoping to work with later this year or next year, they actually come to the United States. So a head coach comes to the United States a lot. So they're like, if you have the leotards for us, we can make it work while I'm over here. So then you don't have to worry about the international shipping component. because that definitely is the biggest barrier, I feel like, once we get the leotards. And then we're just going to have to more so research each country and figure out what we have to do to get the leotards to that country correctly, because of course we don't want the leotards to be like stopped somewhere and then the gyms and gymnasts not getting the leotards.
You've talked about your team members and you've talked about challenges that you've had and the successes, which of course is actually delivering the leotards. Are there other high or low points that you'd like to share with the audience?
I wouldn't say it's like super difficult, but it was more time consuming than I realized. Girl Scouts has a website, which makes it easier, but you have to go step by step. You have to get a lot of approval. I'd say getting my board together was one of the harder parts, but once I got that together, that was very helpful. And then just, I know at the end of my Golden Award, I thought I did everything and I submitted it. And then our council came back and was like, actually, we need this from you. And I was like, oh no. So definitely then having to go back and rethink that. You just have to be so thoughtful with your Golden Award. And I've had this plan with somehow helping the Bahamian gymnasts since I was like 12, the first time I visited these gyms. And I was like, I want to see if I can do anything, even if it's like bringing a few of my old leotards. And I had no idea it'd turn into this being my Golden Award and this turning into a nonprofit. But going through the Golden Award process, like it really made me think through everything and be so much more diligent with the like turning it from my idea to like actual reality, but then also becoming an official nonprofit. That was definitely difficult because then that's working with like the Florida government and the actual government, the IRS. And I knew like nothing about that. So I had to work with like a lawyer and try and get all of that going. And then that's just a waiting game because you submit the things you need to submit. And then it's just like, okay, we'll respond to you in like 2 to 6 months. And then you're just like waiting for something to come in the mail. You're waiting for email from them to go to the next step. And then they're like, okay, give us 2 or 3 more months. And then it's just another like waiting game. So that was definitely a bit frustrating for me because I was like, I just want to start my nonprofit and get running and going. And that was definitely like, oh, like I have to keep waiting. Like, this is what I need to do. And then creating our website. I know at first, the first version of it, I was like, oh, like, this is like nice, but I don't really like it. And then we hired 2 different people to create the website. And the first one I wasn't really happy with. So then we hired someone else. And then that's just a lot of communication back and forth. I think I definitely underestimated the communication that comes with starting a nonprofit. And it's always something I've been a little bit slower with. And I feel like starting this nonprofit has just become more apparent. So it's always something I'm trying to work on. But I'm so happy with like everything we've been able to do.
Reflecting back on all of the opportunities that you had to increase your skill levels in those different areas, how have you seen yourself continuing to use those skills since you finished your Gold Award?
I feel like I've always been a decently organized person, especially when it comes to school. But I feel like in different parts of my life, I've become even more organized because like I have to be. Now I have a nonprofit, I still have school, I have a job. So I really need to be organized. And I feel like definitely going through the Gold Award process because they want as many details as they can get from you. Like they are very much detail oriented, very focused on the small things. It's definitely translated to other things. I'm like, I really need to think this through, make sure there's everything there. And then also, I feel like when I first started this, I felt like I had to do all of it on my own. Like I felt like everything had to be on me. And it's definitely helped me realize I have a board for a reason. My parents and family are here to support me. So I think that's also translated. And I'm like, I don't have to do everything alone, especially when it's a lot or hard for me. I have people around me to support me and help me, which has definitely been great because I've always definitely been a person that's like, I want to do all this. And then I just forget there are people around me to help me, and I don't have to do everything on my own. And creating this nonprofit and going through this process has definitely made that very apparent, because I was definitely trying to do everything on my own at first, and that is just not sustainable. That's not going to work. And so it definitely opened my eyes and made me realize like there's no reason to do everything alone. When you have people that are willing to help you and they're right there holding your hand, which just has been great.
When you were a gymnast, you competed at the elite level, so much so that when you were younger, you moved from St. Louis to Florida specifically for gymnastics. Yet you stayed in Girl Scouts. What made Girl Scouts important to you that even with a move like that and a focus on gymnastics, which took a lot of time, that you remained a Girl Scout?
I joined Girl Scouts, I think in kindergarten or first grade. I was definitely a daisy though when I started, and I absolutely loved it. I loved my troop. We'd go on camping trips and meet so many other girls, and we'd do all these activities. And especially as a young girl, it meant so much to me to have like this little sisterhood. And then also in small different ways help the community. I remember for our bronze award, we did a book drive. And so we collected all these books. And then together we went to this preschool and we read to the kids. And I absolutely loved it. And I realized Girl Scout was more, I mean, it is very much your sisterhood as your troop, but it like just gave me so much opportunity, and it made me realize like I can give back to my community so much more. Because I remember for one of our patches too, we organized this tea party for these girls in our community. We went shopping with them. So I think we went to like Macy's or something like that. We went there, we picked out outfits for them, and like we did this with them. So all of us had like a party, and we got to go to Macy's with them and pick out outfits. And then we threw a tea party, and like I think our moms more so took over the etiquette part. So like all of us learned tea party etiquette, and it was so fun. And I think doing all these different things for our community from a young age stuck with me so much. And then moving, at first I did stay with my troop remotely. So we'd do like Zoom meetings or like FaceTimes. But soon we realized this wasn't going to work. I actually ended up completing my silver award with my old troop when we first moved up, be able to go to St. Louis a lot more. So it wasn't as difficult. And for that one, we taught a bunch of elementary students about the importance of bees in our ecosystem and our like environment. And we got to watch the bee movie. Then we did a bunch of arts and crafts. And once again, like all these different projects we did just really stuck out to me. And then I always like, I'm very much not outside person. I like inside away from bugs, but somehow I always loved our camping trips. I always loved it, meeting new people, roughing it for like 2 days. By the end of the 2 days, I was definitely ready to like go back home, but I still really enjoyed myself. And I felt like it was definitely something I wanted to continue. And then I also knew once I was in high school, I could start my Golden Award. And I did have a few ideas. Like I always knew I wanted to help the Bahamian gymnasts, but I was like, do I want this to be my Golden Award? And so I did have a few different ideas, but that turned into my Golden Award. And I just felt like Girl Scouts is such a big support system outside of your troop, but you have your troop leaders, your council. And I've made just so many friends through Girl Scouts. And it's just been amazing. And even as I get older, I definitely don't participate in it quite as much as I did when I was little. But I still go to like our troop meetings. I still sell cookies. And even as I'm older, sometimes I'm like, oh, like this is annoying. I'm still like so grateful that I've been able to be a Girl Scout. I've met so many friends through it. I've been able to just serve my communities in like different ways that most people haven't. And it's just such a cool like group or community to be a part of for so long.
What are you planning for your future?
So I'm going through the college process right now. We're waiting for a few more schools. I will be going to college in August. I'm not really quite sure where. With gymnastics, I was constantly injured. I was like that gymnast that'd walk in with a different cast or boot or something. Like I'd always be walking in with a different injury, and my teammates would be like, "What is it now, Rhegan?" Like I was just always injured, so I was always at doctor or surgery office. So I definitely not want to go pre-med, possibly become an orthopedic surgeon. I was just around that for so long with gymnastics. And I think through Girl Scouts, I realized I just want to help people. I love helping people. And being a surgeon, I know I have a bunch of gymnast friends and other athletic people that are in sports and have had to go to the orthopedic doctor and get different procedures done. And I've seen it's definitely tough being injured, and it very much sucks. I've gone through it so many times, and it's very difficult to be away from your sport during that time. But then the joy you have getting back to your sport and feeling healthy and okay again, I've seen that so many times through so many different people, and I've experienced it myself. And I would love to be able to help people feel that joy of getting back to their sport and not feeling that pain in that joint anymore. And just being so excited to be there and get back and be 100% again. So hopefully, eventually, I'll become an orthopedic surgeon.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
Doing your Golden Award is such an amazing experience. It's work. It's definitely work. But being able to help other people and seeing how you impacted them is just so amazing. It trumps every single thing. I'd say definitely start early, because my mom was pushing me to start my sophomore year. And I was like, I can just do this my junior year. But it takes time. You don't realize it. But I didn't have to stress about it. It takes time, but I also wasn't oh, I really need to do this today or else it's not going to happen. So I'd say start as soon as you can, but I'd say doing my Golden Award and being able to help the gymnasts and get back to gymnastics, which gave me so much, and being able to see gymnastics impact other gymnasts, it's just been so amazing. I'd say I'm so grateful for this whole experience and opportunity I've been able to go through, and starting my nonprofit, even though it's been very difficult and definitely made me think very differently, because it's like a business and I'm 18 years old. I've never done anything close to running a business. So it's definitely made me open my eyes. But I am so grateful for this. I think it will definitely help me in the future. If I ever want to open my own business, I've done something. And it's all thanks to going through doing my Golden Award. And I am just so grateful for the opportunity to do it. And then also help other gymnasts and help different communities that a lot of people didn't even think needed help. And not saying they need my help, but it's just a little support system they now have through me, which I just absolutely love.
How do you make your s'mores?
I'm a very picky eater. I take apart my s'mores. So I eat the graham cracker, then I eat the milk chocolate, and then I roast my marshmallow and then eat that by itself. Very sadly, I never liked all three of them together, but we'll eat them kind of together.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me and allowing me to share all of this with you.
Make sure to click follow or subscribe so you always know when new episodes are released. Empower your passion and conquer your challenges.
The Hearts of Gold podcast is brought to you by the Grow and Share Network, produced by Off the Walter Media Productions. Thank you for listening and spreading the word on what we do. If you want to share your story of how you earned your Gold Award, reach out and send an email to growandsshare at outlook.com. Be sure to listen to the newest episodes on your favorite podcast app, as well as view the full video episodes on youtube.com/Cheryl M. Robinson. That's youtube.com/Cheryl, the letter M, Robinson. Take care, and we'll see you next time.